that's besides the point. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I took you around. You got to see Snoqualmie Falls. I took you to the Snoqualmie Casino,
yeah.
and we had a crab.
It was good times, man. We'll have,
And the
first of many more times are going to be over
and
there.
our
It's
and
going
our
to be over here
waitress
too.
was like, our waitress acted like she'd never seen a black guy before, because
I
she
don't
was
I
like,
don't recall that happening.
oh, I remember that. I remember that specifically. She was like sitting there talking about Wakanda. I'm like, Jesus, stop, because she
Well,
obviously
okay,
knew you were
was it?
African. She
Yeah, was
obviously
it
knew you were
Wakanda?
African.
Because we might have said that. Yeah, so that might have been like okay, but yeah, Wakanda is it's just, Wakanda is kind of like Kwanzaa. It was something invented. Kwanzaa might also have been invented by some older
It
Jewish
was. It
men
was.
because Stanley and what's his name? I'm forgetting the other guy, the ones who invented Black Panther. And yeah, so this is something. Anyway, a lot to talk about. But today, I asked Derrick to come on to talk to us more about like marketing art to the peoples because that's something that I've kind of struggled with. I've been creating art since it's never stopped, and I'm going to be launching a studio together with Derrick, and he's been on me and just trying to get me more focused on just actually taking the stuff from just the creative aspect and actually turning that into something that's out there in the industry in the market. Because I want to make a business out of this, I want to make a livelihood out of this, just full on just doing this. So we have a lot of different plans. You're going to be hearing a lot more from us on that. And I'm interested in his experience with that because that's something I've lacked on. I'm able to create the stuff, but then when it comes to dealing with customers, what's actually marketable, what am I doing like versus even this project, like I know great people. Started this some time back with Steven, who Derrick mentioned. And with a lot of these things, I was just trying to sort things out myself, just to make sure I'm continuing to create things. But now that I actually want people to consume it, people to interact with it, I want to communicate with people more through the arts. And that's something Derrick has been very, he's been involved in doing things like that and a lot more in a more professional sense. So I want him to tell us a bit about that. So the first question on that is like, what are 2 to 3 things that someone may like about what you do in that marketing art to the public, masses, the
Um.
peoples?
Well, um, being able to. Well, there's three things. Yeah, you asked for.
Two to three.
The
You
first
don't have
one,
to. Yeah.
the first one would be being able to find an opportunity with somebody who's growing or a business that's growing, and being able to provide a service to them without like without forcing them into a service. You know how
Hmm.
Google forces you into their service? Like if you want to get found by anybody, you got to be on Google. It's
Yeah.
no, you don't really have to be on Facebook or Instagram unless you're a restaurant. That doesn't really make sense for like a law firm to be on Instagram. I don't know what the fuck they're going to post. Same thing with a real estate agency. I don't know what you're going to post. The house you posted a month ago is going to get sold. What's the point? Um, but I had worked with an artist named Henry, which is Seattle's most prolific muralist. I mean, my God, he's done close to 1,000 public art pieces in the Seattle area, Puget Sound in general, over the past 10 years, 15 years. And he didn't have much presence as far as a website that was workable, and he wasn't making money on selling his prints online, selling his merch online. So he asked me to step in to help with selling his merch online, his prints. And then I created the opportunity of making a website for him for bigger projects, whatever that would be. So I footed the bill to get the website up and running, and then he picked up the expenses afterwards. But since then, we have a T-shirt company that's attached to that business. We have a a mural tour company, which is it's a company that takes people around Seattle in a bus and shows off 20 of Henry's biggest mural projects. So it's become kind of a profit center for him and a point of pride for me in that I was able to do something that was I wouldn't say extraordinary, but I was able to do something that people had tried before and just wasn't able to do.
Hmm.
And now our website is on a plaque. It's on a bronze plaque on the pier in Puget Sound in Seattle. So
Right.
I'm a
Right.
part of Seattle history in that way.
So now with this, I'm thinking we're going to have him on for conversations about art, AI, and creativity. If you've seen my AI video, the first one I posted, it was during talking with Derek back and forth, just playing around and seeing how I could turn a sculpture that I just made into like a 3D model. So even with what we're doing with the studio, we're wondering what aspects of it are we comfortable using it with? Are we going to do projects without it completely? Can we test out some things fully on that? So trying to understand some of that, but that's definitely changing the creative industry a lot. You've talked about that and probably will say a bit more about how it's affecting the design industry that you're in. But right now, it's disrupting the industry. A lot of people who are in positions like you're doing, like the marketing, the graphic design, that aspect, used to go to like graphic design studios or houses or have a certain like YouTube videos used to be like an entire group of artists were making a living by just doing like YouTube video covers, but now it's just 90% of that is now AI. But what you're doing right now is you found a creative who didn't have the aptitude or the time, or just time preferences.
Mhm.
His time would be better used focusing on creating the art that he creates with Henry doing that. And then you're able to take that on for him. What are some of the differences or the positives of doing something like this, working with a creative in that sense, versus doing it for a corporate or the other kind of marketing things that you've been involved with?
Well, certainly with corporate, there's a lot more accountability, and there are, an agreement is an agreement. It's not something loose that you can. Are you done with it yet? No, I'm not done with it. Okay, I'll be done with it in 2 weeks. With a
Mhm.
corporation, is are you done with this project yet? No. Well, then how come? All of a sudden you're accountable. There's a lot more accountability, a lot more professionalism, and to be honest, there's a lot more. There's a larger opportunity to move up the corporate ladder. Where here there is no ladder. It's just
Yeah.
whatever I can create for him in the marketing space that helps him grow his business. Now, if I can get something on the back end with that, great. But I won't get anything on the back end until it becomes something profitable. Um, yeah, and artists are tempestuous bastards at best. Like when you're dealing with the CEO of a company or somebody like that, there's more of a chain of command. There's more of a hierarchy. What was that word I was using the other day? Power dynamics. The power dynamic is obvious because it's baked into the corporate world.
Mhm.
When you're working with somebody who's basically your friend, but you provide a very essential service for, that hierarchy can be very difficult to fall into.
Yeah.
Now, I was in the military, so I'm used to being, best friends with somebody, and then all of a sudden they get promoted to like corporal or sergeant, and then I have to like address them differently, even though you know behind closed doors will behave differently. But for the most part of the day, that friendship is gone.
Mhm.
So I was able to find a way to fall into that without making him feel like he was pushing me around or being bossy or that he was demanding things of me. Like, hey, we're friends and we'll always be friends, but there's this that's happening, and to don't be afraid to be assertive or to be direct or blunt, because
Okay.
we both have a goal to achieve, and we should leave emotion out of that. That took a couple months to kind of fall into line, but that's one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, that kind of goes into that with the 2 to 3 things. So a few things that are challenging about that with the creative. But isn't that something you can, depending on the agreement that you get into, like I just recorded a short video yesterday, just thinking about my own situation of doing things without certain planning. Like now I'm going back through all the blog posts I've been doing, all the videos that I've put up, all the projects that I thought of starting. And we had this discussion, when do you get to the point where it's like you drop this off and start something new, or when do you see if this is something you can recover, you can make something out of? Can you add the plans in? Because right now I'm doing things a lot more planned with certain things in a lot more of a organized way. So which of the things can you still include and still organize? Like in certain relationships, like with what you're doing, you can also build some of these, or you can come off the break and do that. Because just the relationship that you're talking about with Henry, I'm seeing now that graphic designers don't have that regular go join a studio type of thing, get the typical jobs that you had, because AI is going to be taking a lot of those kind of things in that kind of structure that structure is built for. But this whole thing of finding individual artists and having that kind of personal relationship with them, and you being like the design house for individual creatives who are coming up, could be a way where you have that as your livelihood. Like you're handling, instead of working for a studio and they get many big clients and you get small parts of these big clients, you might be able to get 5 or 6 artists and manage their marketing aspects, business aspects, and still make a living just that way. Like, do you think there's a possibility of that increasing in current timeline?
Yes and no. I think there will always be design houses. They'll be just structured
Of
differently.
course, yeah.
Design firms aren't going anywhere. A design firm might be, instead of 5 people at an office in Seattle, it'll be 6 or 7 people spread across the world.
Mhm.
Kind of like a situation that we're in right now, for instance. AI is changing things. Like there was a big, about a year ago, when AI really, really, really started to take on, and people started using, what was it? What was they using? They're using GPT-3 or something,
Yeah.
whatever system they're using to create early AI videos and pictures. People realize that, oh shit, I don't have to go to a design house. I don't have to ask somebody with artistic skills for anything anymore. I can just do it myself. That's great for them. It really is great for them. But the problem is that it all starts to look the same. All the output for GPT-4, it just looks the same. Um, but it also allows people to make changes quickly in markets that don't necessarily, um, in like a niche market.
Mhm.
So, like for instance, if like in the one of the jobs that I do is I work in the casino world doing promotions for casinos. For the larger table games, the promotions will be generally the same for about a month or two. But for poker, the poker tables, people like to use AI because they're able to make changes to the promotions and to the structures of the games a lot quicker. They don't need to rely on me on a 1 to 2 day turnover to make those changes. They can just go into GPT-4 or Flow or whatever they're using and make those changes immediately, post it onto the poker bulletin board, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it does take away work, the menial, boring work that you would normally do. But it is bouncing back too. Is that people are starting to hire graphic designers again because the promise of AI turned out not to be true.
Mhm.
Also, that they're finding that good graphic designers and good designers can move quickly and more efficiently by using AI tools.
Yeah.
And by, say, somebody higher up in the company who has a design concept, and they'll say, here's what AI gave me. Could you make something like this? Now we're communicating in a way that we've never communicated before. Before it was, some MBA trying to describe a circle to me. Well, the circle is round and it's red in the center. Now they have AI. They type in a couple prompts into GPT-4 or into Gemini or to Grok, and they send me a picture and go, okay, this is what I'm thinking. All of a sudden, it becomes very quick and very easy. There is a backside to this, which is that they'll take the finished product, plug it back into GPT-4, and then they'll give it all these bells and whistles and all these, butterflies and rainbows in the background, and they'll go, "Oh, I really like that. Let's use this instead." It does kind of show why designers are important, because if MBAs and like accountants and middle management controlled the design world, it would be absolutely horrible. It'd be Timothy's everywhere. It'd be just disgusting squirrels. You know. So what I've had to do in this struggle is to not be a victim and to not be angry about it, but to go, okay, this is how my clients and my management team, this is how they're using AI. Okay, well, I'm going to use AI in a way that complements what they want.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one thing.
Again, and just because you have a tool that makes it easier for you to do it doesn't mean that you're going to be good at it or that you should, but it's worth a try.
Yeah. It like I think during a conversation with you is when I came up with the framing of AI as augmented interface instead of artificial intelligence. I understand for marketing reasons they probably stuck with that. Sticks more. That name was already out there. But then if you think of augmented interface, you probably can't pitch it as a brand new thing because you're just adding something to it. Like when Photoshop came out, Illustrator came out, those type of things changed the poster industry, changed the graphic design industry, changed photography and a lot of these
Mm-hmm.
industries. And it doesn't mean like, yes, some people who were not able to buy cameras were not able to get the paints or get the access to the paper to or live in big cities where they're close enough to the big companies that would pay enough for you to spend 5 hours doing a big illustration poster. some of those people now had access because they could just do it online. They could get images online. They could do multiple different versions. Whereas the people who had perfected their craft, where they know, like, okay, I got an idea, I can talk to somebody, I get the clear idea, do one sketch, two or three sketches, give it to them. They say, okay, and then I should do a piece. Versus some people who need to reiterate 30 different versions. But if you're doing 30 versions on paper with paint, that becomes expensive. But if you're doing 30 different versions on Photoshop, then you can do different layers and it's pretty much the same cost. It's only costing you time. So that allowed more people to enter the industry. But I think the original person who was still good at getting that idea out immediately, once they learned the tools of using a pen, tablet, or whatever it is you're using, the original photographers who were still able to catch something when they bring it in Lightroom, they don't need to do 50 versions and tweak things around in Lightroom. They know exactly what they want from it, and it's just augmented their interface with whatever they're trying to
Right.
interface with
And
in the market. So yeah,
and the digital world also gave more opportunities for photographers. Like
yeah,
look at online ordering like DoorDash and Grubhub. I don't know if you have those out there in Nairobi.
they do different
Or
versions of
Uber.
it. There's
Yeah,
Uber. Uber Eats is here also.
yeah. I mean, those websites or the pages that these restaurants have, they need to take pictures of those food items. So they'll usually have someone come in, either somebody with a decent camera setup and lights, or some idiot with an iPhone that works for them, and they'll get pictures. So again, it does mean that there's going to be fewer of us in the world in the next. Not to say that there weren't already very few of us who are actually working, but there's going to be fewer, and but you're going to need to be more of a hyphenate designer. So you're going to be audio hyphen video hyphen graphic hyphen even sub web coding and stuff like that,
Yeah.
plus AI, and honestly, I think you're going to need to eat the costs of the AI models that you use, just as you're eating the cost of Adobe Photoshop and all those other tools.
Yeah.
It's going to it's like a carpenter has to invest in tools. You have to invest in your tools too, but you have to be very careful which ones you use.
But I think this has been common in most of history, like with the arts and the creativity and that aspect. You got to pitch like that's something that I'm really seeing here with this being much of a developing industry, where you're now pitching and trying to convince people that this is purposeful. There's actually, yes, you're a $100 million Kenyan company, but this is I still got to tell you why it actually makes sense for you to get a website, for you to start like a marketing campaign, like something that's together identity system, because these people have managed to grow that way without some of these things. So that's kind of something that I think now is also going to happen in developed countries where people already understood this is part of what you do to be competitive. Now we'll kind of free it up where there's going to be not lower level people who are going to be searching out things, startups and things like this, or someone just like a mom and pop shop might now have a fully fledged ad campaign and whatnot, and you'd be
Yeah,
able to find some of these people like that because
and
the
it
stuff is
might
still there.
just to add, it might not be somebody who's ever used Photoshop or any of the other tools before. It might just be somebody who's only ever used AI and is just very good at prompting and very efficient at what they do.
Mhm.
And kind of like Rick Rubin's not an artist, but he knows what he likes.
Yeah. Okay.
So it'd be somebody who's good at collecting and knowing what they like.
Really glad to finally have Derrick on this series, and he will be on for many other things as we work together to launch this storytelling platform that has grown from just him having a cloud storytelling story that he was working on Odessia project, and I had my carbon story. And I had talked to some people about this before, and this was one of the first people that I met who was doing something similar and kind of understood the idea. So what we're planning on doing has grown from that with some gaming studio and other aspects that are going to be working in together with that. And to that end, we're probably going to be opening a Twitch channel sometime soon. I think I have a Twitch channel already, and US Elise, he has one as well. We'll probably be streaming Valheim coming out soon because we've really enjoyed playing Valheim, different games and Cyberpunk 2077, other things like that. We just enjoy gaming, storytelling through that medium of interactive art. But we really enjoyed Valheim, and we are going to have some playthroughs of Valheim start from the fresh again all the way to the Frozen North as 1.0 finally gets dropped in September. So there will be announcements of that, but he'll also be back for several conversations in the art, AI, and creativity series. As you heard, he was talking about that. You might have seen one of my videos on that where I did a sculpture from a character from Carbon, and then had that a photograph of that in, took it to Gemini, and that actually made a 3D model of it. And just that process itself, that was something he'd been dabbling with that. But anyway, so with that video, that was the friend I was talking to in that. So there's just some things we're going to have to sort out. What are we going to use AI for? What are we going to do with other projects? But yeah, so just getting back to the conversation with Derrick, I hope you guys enjoyed it anywhere close to as much as I enjoyed having it. I think I was also forgetting to say, but like also for most of history, like the top creatives, this is one of the things. Now this is also just something being as a creative. Like I know when I came back to Kenya, I had of course had my undergrad with graphic design in America. Then I went to Italy to finish off college, and I did a postgrad in animation. I looked around Italy and it was like, okay, people don't really value animation as much here in Italy like they do in the States for cartoons and things like that, or let alone Japan with anime, which I'm really inspired by. I really like that stuff. So I know thinking I'm also a foreigner. In America, it's easy enough. It's easy because one of the easiest places to actually make a living as a foreigner come in, despite the social dynamics. Some people would like you to think like it's like xenophobic when it's not. It's a lot harder to actually move to other countries and actually successfully just live there. But so in Italy, I was checking like, how am I going to do this? Then I end up coming back to Kenya and seeing just the industry. I was like, there's no room for this stuff. People don't value these things that I'm doing. They're just expecting the amount of money being paid in America for websites. Asking somebody here for even a 10% of that was like absurd. Like I'm not paying that. Like internet wasn't even regularly used. All these things weren't there. And that
Yeah.
kind of depressed me. I had a negative mentality at that time, but it depressed me. I was like, there's no market here. There's no industry here. That was about 2010, but the thing has grown. And since then, I've now been engaging a lot more with people. As Artiv Hub, I have a studio visit series coming up in a few days. Just talking more to the creators here and seeing that people built. There's people who were thinking that here back then and felt no. Instead, there's no industry, but we're going to build it. We're going to start doing what we're doing, find people here and there, increase this awareness of this, increase the value of this, and they've grown the industry. This whole expectation of thinking like, as a creative, you're just going to go out there and there's going to be a market that's going to employ every creative in that sense. That's never been how reality was. Like for most of human history, the top artists were few people who had some wealthy owners who were doing some work with them. But all other artists there's other painters at times when Picasso and all those people existed that made their life by just working here and there. It wasn't like a full on, like they work at this job and they do some other things. And that might be what I think like just the system of America kind of people took that for granted. Like you could just do that and just go get a job without necessarily having to sell your art to people. And I know even for me, I've had that negative aspect of like, how do I? It's something that's it's something I want to do so much. I'm putting so much of my thoughts and my feelings into it, having it be a certain way. It's kind of hard to divorce yourself and be like, I'm going to facilitate the vision of somebody else that might be even in a way that I wouldn't do it if it's myself. But since I'm doing this, I'm the augmented interface for somebody else in that kind of sense. I'm the AI that somebody else is prompting to create something. Take yourself out of that. Like if I was doing this, I would do it in this way. But if I'm doing it for somebody else, I'll do it in this way. If I want to do something, in order for me to find ways to do the things I want to do, I got to do things like other people. I think there's this thing in Hollywood as well we've seen where somebody will do like an industry standard film. They'll
Yeah.
get two films like that are really good that bring in money, and then they'll be allowed to do a passion project because they're like, okay, you've earned it. Like we'll allow you to do
Yeah.
this, and then their passion project will be more their vision. And I think there needs to be more of that mentality where in America, in the first world, I know it's challenging for a lot of graphic designers, a lot of people a lot of creators, a lot of artists, musicians, a lot of people, but don't despair. There's still an ability for you to go out there. You might need to do some more effort. You might need to find people like Derrick and have them be your marketing person. Get like, it's not even selling an agent, but kind of like how you have like basketball players and athletes and stuff like that. They focus on their craft and their basketball and their sports and what they're doing, even actors, but they have like agents who handle the business aspect. And you can
Right.
kind of do that kind of
It's
thing where it's like,
it's
yeah.
when they have agents. It's when somebody's serious is when you're going to start getting work from them. Like for instance, 2011, 2012, I worked for a company where I did marketing or rather promotions for a UFC fighter. His name was Tim Boach. I don't know what happened to him. I think he did his 5 years and got out, but he was made famous by Joe Rogan saying that a move he did was redneck jiu-jitsu or redneck judo. That's what it was. Joe Rogan, that's redneck judo. Oh, so he became famous off that, and that was his tagline. But it wasn't until he got to the point where he needed a team did he really start to hire people seriously, like somebody who could do graphic arts and promotions and stuff like that. So with athletes and even smaller businesses, because the AI tools make it so easy for like their son or their daughter or a nephew or uncle or a family member or somebody who works in the business who has some knowledge of it,
Mhm.
it's going to make it the barrier for them to enter into the space where they need to hire someone to do this professionally, it becomes
Yeah.
higher. But what the upside to that is, um, people who do have, or companies that do have an onboard graphic designer or a small team that does this stuff for them, it's going to look more unique. It's not going to look like something that GPT, like AI slop that GPT puts out, and then people are like, oh, well, that's good enough for me, even though your hot dog looks like plastic, even though the food you're selling looks like plastic.
But that's a key part right there because okay, now they might get into it. Before, if they thought like I'm doing this, I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing, that could stand to have some design. But in order for me to do the design, maybe they're thinking I have to go to a design house and present to them, but they're not willing to do that. And they don't
No,
know they have access to just like independent designers, freelance designers. They don't know about that part.
it's
They
three
just think
hundred
of it as
dollars. Like a logo for your business would be like $300 to $400, $500, and
yeah,
you have to deal with something like Fiverr or Upwork or deal with somebody
yeah.
local.
But some
Not
people
even
are
going,
not familiar with that, you know.
yeah.
But if they use AI, they can get that. They'll get something that's more
But here's the problem: is that
that's more cookie cutter, right? But then once they've
yeah, yeah.
done that, they've seen the value added of having that. Now you as a creative can see what they've done, know it's AI, and you can pitch
Well,
it to them. You can see them and be like, here, there's
they're
something
going to
better.
come to
Here's a
me.
rough.
Let me, yeah, I'll just kind of tag off that.
Mhm.
They will create their logo in AI, and they're going to have to put that logo on a shirt or put
Yeah,
that logo as a something on their side of their truck or whatever, or on a sign. Whoever's making that sign is going to ask for a vector file.
yeah.
They're not going to be asking for some 780 by 780 slop that GPT-4 pushes out. They're going to want a vector file. So that's where designers do come back in. I think
Yeah.
I think brushing your knowledge up on vector design over just raster design, which would be Photoshop, is a good step forward. Concentrate more on vector, which is mathematically based, which is scalable. Um,
Yeah, there's
and you have
I think
more
yeah,
experience in that than I do.
I think that's kind of what I'm talking about is the more people are if AI is getting people to now this is one the art AI and creativity series we're gonna have conversations on whether or not it's AI, but regardless, if whatever AI is generating is increasing the interest or the understanding or the demand or the valuation of I need to have graphics. I need to have a way to get my visuals, my identity out in a visual sense versus just pitching what I do. That's going to create more opportunities for people who can create the art, who can provide the graphics, who can provide that marketing aspect, that creativity in there. It's going to create more places for us to think as creatives. Where can we get in? Where can we pitch something to somebody? I don't need to sell somebody on a t-shirt design and t-shirts if they've already done the design aspect. So there's ways for us to plug into that. But yeah, so I want to get back to the question here. But okay, so what is an occupation or pastime that you think is opposite from what you do, from that marketing or creativity? Like that makes any sense.
So something that has nothing related, nothing to do with what I do.
Yeah, like kind of like a bizarre world version of you. Because my reason for asking this question is like eventually this
Well,
either way
yeah,
people will grow. So that person who's doing the opposite of what you think can come on and you can click and you can see what that person says about their job.
this is good luck finding somebody like this, but
Yeah.
they're out there. So I like going to antique shops and thrift shops and stuff and just looking at all the weird stuff they have.
Mhm.
Very rarely will I buy anything. Very rarely. And if I do buy anything, I'm going to be spending $1,000 or $2,000 on it and fixing it up. So I grew up with my grandmother, and my grandmother was a huge bargain hunter, but
Yeah.
she also loved old things. Um, she had when she died, she was in her house surrounded by cupboards and bookshelves that were from the 1800s, and she'd gotten this stuff really cheap, really really cheap. My grandpa was a good investor; he made some good money, so she always had money to spend. I don't know where she had this room to put this shit. But I would go out with her when I was a kid, and even into my 30s when I would come out and hang out. We go to an antique store or to like a flea market or something like that. I would always find furniture or like a book or maybe a toy or a piece of cutlery or a drinking glass or something like that or a table, something that was old, unique, definitely used, but spoke to me.
Mm.
So I do like going out and looking at these secondhand stores, especially antique malls and antique stores, where there's more than just furniture.
So you think that's opposite from what you're doing, the creativity, the marketing of it, doing the antiquing.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not even
Cool.
antiquing. It's like it's
Hmm.
come to think of it, there really is nothing that I do that does not involve creativity in some way.
Okay. So the opposite would be something that is, yeah. So what do you think
Like
is something that lacks creativity? Because there's people out there doing things that are completely lacking in creativity.
like I like cooking, but
Okay.
that has a lot to do with
That is
what I do.
creativity. Yeah, that's all. It's just so like,
I like going to
um,
restaurants, but that's like nowadays with inflation being as it is and how restaurant prices are in Seattle. It's I rarely do that.
yeah. Now this is what we'll talk about more in the art creativity and the AI design. Because like, some people would argue that your process of going through and meeting a creative and learning what they're doing and finding ways to get that to the person, they would say like maybe AI would be the opposite of that. Using AI to prompt that might be taking all the creativity out of it.
It
Somebody
does.
might
It
think
does.
that.
It puts the creativity in the realm of an algorithm and whatever
Yeah.
whatever that AI has been trained on. Which again is great if you run a pressure washing business and you have absolutely no creativity and you need a website and a logo and shirts and something to put on your side of your truck, your business cards, flyers,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. All of a sudden, you're going from $1,000 costs to create these things, plus the headache of dealing with creatives. All of a sudden, that goes to like your son, who opens up GPT-4 or Gemini, and just or pays $20 for Flow or for Higgs Field or for 11 Labs, and just goes and does all this stuff for you. And you have and you as a business owner, you have the illusion of control.
Uh,
Does that make sense?
yeah.
You have the illusion of control of what you're designing, and that's just enough. With the price point being so
That
cheap,
that is a good point. That is a good point. Like you think you're controlling, but you're not really controlling. You're really just trolling the masses of whatever that large language model happens to have
right?
access to. That's what it's going to give you a distillation, not even a distillation. It's just going to give you an estimation of what words what vowels, zeros and ones you've thrown in. And it's going to throw you some zeros and ones that respond to the query of when these zeros and ones come in, that's what you get.
Or
Versus
your
when you
pressure
talk,
washing
yeah,
business, or your
yeah.
pressure washing business logo and the designs are going to look like every other pressure washing business. It's like I worked for a real estate company. I worked for a real estate company that would travel around and do like they would do the owners would go to, what are these called, conferences around the country, and they'd always bring back flyers, and they'd say,
Yeah.
I want you to create a template of this flyer in Photoshop so we can add the information in, add the pictures in. I like this design. Basically they'd say copy it and make something that I can use. I actually got called out a few times when I was looking for jobs 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is Zillow's proprietary design. I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize that. This is Trulia. This is Redfins. This is rentnow.com's stuff
Yeah.
application. Like, so being able to find a job professionally is going to become a lot. There's going to be a lot more attention paid to what that person is doing, because
Mhm.
if all they're doing is using AI, then what's the point of hiring them?
Yeah.
But if they're able to take AI, use AI in conjunction with the tools that they're already familiar with and are industry standard, then all of a sudden you become a better candidate.
There's two things I've wanted to do that we'll try to start doing. One of the things here is just like t-shirts. In America, in my experience, people normally have some reason they have a t-shirt. They had some event or it's something they like. Their t-shirts is a way of kind of their self-billboard. It expresses something of themselves.
Right.
Here, a lot of the people we see with t-shirts, they kind of just went, some of these consignments come to markets where it's just like these big huge like just hay bales of sorts, like clothes bales of clothes, and they're dumped off. Then people come to the market, they just grab them. Okay, enough of. I have 100 shirts, 100 shorts, 100 like t-shirts, and then they just go to the store and sell them in their markets. People come and they buy them. It's like I need a t-shirt. They don't really care what's on them. Like you'll see like family reunion stuff or like sports things.
That's
Like
hilarious. That's
yeah.
hilarious.
So I'm used to being like I was living in America. Used to like t-shirts were saying something about the logos, but here in many cases someone's just wearing the thing because it was the thing that they grabbed. They needed a shirt. So I want to do a thing where I start asking people like, do you know? I was there any reason you picked this shirt versus other shirts, or do you understand what's on it? And just these kind of shorts. But another one is something I think you'll get jazzed from when you come and visit is just seeing some of the design that goes on. Like that whole AI of just getting a whole bunch of things and looking the same. Like you'll have schools here and they'll just have like Disney characters on it just kind of randomly. Or they'll have this other thing where it's just like, yeah, where they'll grab things that they've seen or heard from other places and just put it there. Like I saw like a Coachella restaurant. I was like, do they have any idea with like what Coachella is? Or is it just like a name that they heard and they put it there? So I'm kind of interested to kind of go and talk to people like, what was your design process of choosing this? Or were you just doing it like AI
Okay.
of just taking
Okay.
stuff that's
Okay. I've seen this in Japan.
yeah.
So when I was living in Japan, I will never forget this. I was at this place called Justco, which is Justco's like it's like a triple story department store. It's like groceries below, television and like books and all that media stuff in the middle. The top is all the clothing.
Hmm.
It's a huge store. I'm at Justco and I'm wandering around the toy section looking for Godzilla toys, looking for the Bandai Namco stuff. And there's this kid sitting in the cart next to me. I look over and it's this kid, maybe 2 years old, and
Yeah.
on his shirt, it's like a black shirt, and it's whatever the weird version of English they have there. And it says, "Repent for your sins, for the end draweth nigh." And it's just this little kid, and I'm sure the parents had no idea what it said.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Asian tattoo craze that went in America for some time, where people were just like, "Oh, this
Yeah,
is a
yeah,
cool looking symbol," and
where
then like we don't know what it
exact
is.
same thing. Like I knew a guy in the military when we were out in Okinawa. We were out drinking, and he had a tattoo that he was showing off. I think he was from Nebraska or something, somewhere in the Midwest. And not to shit on people from the Midwest, but this is
Good
what
people.
happened. Yeah, they're great, but he went and showed that we're talking with some Japanese people, who spoke English, and he showed his tattoo, and they started laughing. And he says, "Well, what's so funny?" He says, "What does that say?" And the guy with the tattoo, he said, "Well, it means honor and courage and like all this stuff." And he says, "No, it says I love miso soup."
Well, it still looked cool.
It still
It
looks
still
cool. Like
worked.
if you type "I
Yeah.
love miso soup" into Google Translate, it actually looks really cool. Not as cool as Gojira, but it looks pretty cool. I'm sure whatever design he was going for, what it actually ended up translating to something weird. I don't. Yeah. So like that would happen a lot in Japan. Like people wear um, University of Southern California shirts or University of Phoenix online shirts. They have no idea what these universities are. I would imagine. Because
Yeah.
why the fuck are you wearing like Tennessee State University or something like that, TSU? But American college shirts are really big over there, even though Japanese don't go to American colleges. It's a Chinese
Yeah.
and Korean thing.
Most definitely. Huh. Okay. So yeah, we're talking Midwest, like later today I'm going to record something Christopher was on. He was talking about software engineering and AI, and then now he's coming back on to talk about a website that he created just like off of prompting. Because we were talking about that stuff of like, oh, now you need
Yeah,
like
yeah,
vectors.
vibe coding. Yeah,
Yeah, soon there's going to be like vectors where you just like websites made by AI where you could just put in whatever AI generated with you, and it's gonna crap out like the vectors for you.
I've seen it.
But
I've
but
seen them. They're
regardless,
horrible.
we're
They're
gonna
horrible. I've seen them.
there's still gonna be space. There's still gonna be space.
And
Yeah,
I've seen and this website I saw was all AI generated. They have a rest. It was for one of our rival casinos, and they have a restaurant inside the casino. And I saw like a picture of their burger they had on the website, and it just looked like how AI will like patternize textures.
yeah,
Sometimes it'll be the same texture. It'll look like somebody had done something in like Blender 10 years ago. Like they had pictures of like AI hamburgers and AI fucking chicken wings and stuff, and you're just like, it all looked plastic, it all looked fake. So yeah, there's going to be that, but I would definitely warn business owners to, you don't have to hire a full on designer, but just be careful what you're putting up there, especially if you have a restaurant and you're selling food. and you're selling, AI generated onions or like sprouts and stuff like that. And it's obviously AI, and boomers can tell it's AI too. They're getting smart.
We've talked a bit about this though, with how there were certain fields that became so digitized
Yeah.
that now AI can actually duplicate stuff that's closer, like food photography, for example. Like I think 5, 6 years ago, or even 10 years ago, there was some people. There was a lot of really popular viral times. There would be occasionally you'll see some trends where you'll just get a lot of algorithms of people showing how they set up the food photos. They get
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
regular burger and then they take the photo and then they inject it with like coagulant or like collagen to get it stuck up. Then after all that point, they highlight in different ways. Instead of it's not really mayonnaise. It's like whipped cream. No, it's like shaving cream because the shaving cream has more body. So even the food, the advertising already was humans not doing like artificial aspects of the food. Thinking about the filters on Instagram and all these things. Then you take it to Photoshop and you add all these things. So by the time you actually get the image of the food that's in the actual advert, in the video, on the image, it's majority of the image digitized. It just used a small skeleton of a real photograph of a real burger, but everything else about it is artificial. Now
Here's a
AI
question.
can create something like that, but it can't create the photograph that somebody took in the perfect lighting and the perfect. So there's it was already so digitized already that AI can copy that digitized stuff.
Business owners will have to make a decision if they want to go through the process of setting up like AI data sheets or context windows and doing all the preliminary work that you need in order to get AI generated pictures of your food that looks like the food that you're going to serve. Because if
Yeah.
you look at the process that it takes to take something from Google Flow or to Higgs Field or to 11 Labs or any of these other platforms, or even to Seed Dance, all this stuff, if you want to keep a consistent character, you have to do one of those character turnaround sheets. You have to like know the prompts to do and try different
Mhm.
prompts, and you have to go through different iterations. So you'll spend like 2 hours working on one character just to make sure it looks right as a character sheet to plug into other AI so it can make more mistakes and you have to go through the whole process. Is it easier to go through that process with a hamburger? Or is it easier just to get somebody with lights and camera so they
Yeah.
can the hamburger?
And
But
I
but
think,
the companies are gonna be companies who are going to you go the AI route,
and I
and they're
think
going
that's
to be
what's
really
happening right
clever.
now. Like we've talked about how subsidized the AI is right now. It's also kind of this new, so it's kind of the hot. People are trying to sort out. But I think what AI will do, it will deal with certain of the back office type of stuff, take time away and free time away for people to actually participate more in more organic art, if I want to say it in that kind of way. So it's going to
Yeah,
handle all your backroom type of stuff, your books and
we're
whatnot.
not.
And then you're not paying somebody so much to handle books and all of those kind of more less creative aspects. And then it's going to free you up to have the money to actually have an in-house guy and afford somebody with a really good camera, afford time to be like, chef, I know you're making the food, but today I want you to make the perfect burger so we can have a photographer come in. But before you weren't able to handle that because you just had other costs and other things. So I think that's art is going to be okay. AI is not going to kill art. Like people are just freaking out way too much about that aspect of it.
It is the line between a good artist and a bad artist is becoming a lot thicker, and there's this middle ground which doesn't exist.
Okay, yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah,
Where it's
yeah.
like there's this middle ground of people who are still learning, and but they can
It's like a
learn using
skill
technology.
issue. Like get good.
It's a skill
It's
issue.
like,
It's like
yeah.
you can either draw a person and have it look photorealistic, or at least look like a really good sketch with all the details, or you can't. You can either make a chair or you can't. There's going to be like that journeyman period that I think is going to be it's going to be very painful for people because they have to contend with AI, which can do things right now.
Mhm.
They can do them better than you in some cases and worse than you in others.
Okay.
It's going to make artists have a lot thicker skin, which is really what we need in society. I hate to say this, it's really what we need in society are artists and people like that who have much thicker skin. That being said, I don't think we're going to see a real big corporate pushback on AI until it starts taking over like human resources and stuff like that.
But hasn't it already done that? I think that's already been hit
Yes,
way
it
more
has.
than.
Yes, it has, but until it starts, but not in the way that it's taken over art.
Okay. Oh,
those those
with
those
this one
systems are
now.
still being developed, and I'm sure that you have like an unofficial HR union. I'm sure there's an HR union. It's unofficial. We don't hear about it, but I'm sure it's out there, or at least a lobby that's
Mhm.
going into Congress and working with these companies to make sure that it takes a little bit longer for AI to replace like an accountant or to If I have five accountants, I really only need two now.
Okay.
You know.
And this is a good lead into the next question of the misconceptions about what you do. Let's say somebody like I really truly think what you're doing is going to be increasing and the thicker skin for the artists. Some artists, speaking as for personal, it might be like an ability of being like not as social, not wanting to deal directly with clients or pitch your stuff. As I'm pitching me to you to hire me, they would prefer let me work for a studio. They handle all the stuff dealing with clients. I just focus on the creativity. But this aspect of now, what's the misconception of getting into a relationship like you have? You're a freelance designer in many cases. You've gone and worked. Okay, I'm not coming to you as a graphic design house. I'm pitching you my abilities. Working with a creative in that sense, where with Henry, yes, it's a friend, but also you've had some experiences with that. So, what are the misconceptions? Someone who's looking like, I want to leave my studio job, my graphic design studio house, and go out independently, or my marketing studio house and go out independently and start finding artists, finding businesses, and talking to them directly about, let me be your main person. Let me be your design house. What are the misconceptions that you had doing that and or that people might have who might be looking at?
Um, I don't think I can't think of any misconceptions or correct conceptions that I had.
You just went in.
Because I knew it was going to be difficult. Like
Yeah.
I'll put it this way: like if you're thinking about doing that, I'm going to give you two tips. Number one is slowly build it on the side. Don't quit your day job. Just slowly build it on the side and get to the point where you're comfortable enough
Mhm.
cutting yourself off in your day job, or at least going part time in that world. Or you can save up money and quit, and just be on a time clock. I got a year's savings. I got a year to make this profitable, or I'm screwed, or I have to go back to my day job. The most efficient and best way to do it is the second option, which is just to quit. Save your
Mhm.
money and quit. Because if you have something to fall back on, you're going to fall back on it. You're always, especially if you have children or you're married or you're in a committed relationship or you have medical bills or a car payment that really needs to get out there. If you're living lean and mean like I am, even though I'm 30 pounds overweight, but if you're still living lean and mean,
Same story.
it,
We'll improve with
all
that
of a
together.
sudden, all of a sudden, taking that phone call or going for that meeting and being early and looking good and you're taking a shower and shaving, those things, even for the girls, you got to shave. Even for those things, it makes it so much more important. And I think
Yeah.
that there's a reason why people who work for corporations kind of have that slave mentality, and people that they tend to be more left leaning, where people who are more um, entrepreneurial and work for themselves, or at least throw themselves at the mercy of the market. They're a lot more right leaning, more individualistic, and a little bit thicker skin.
There's something you mentioned there. It's like, but like you say belly's full, but pockets are empty. Like the bank account is empty in that kind of sense. But I think we talked about this. I remember us talking about the artists in the past. This is something also personally for me. Like that whole starving artist term, there was something to that where the people were driving. That came to be a term not because it was very successful and lucrative to be an artist. It was because you probably were starving at that point. You're struggling, but with the benefits and the privileges of living in current timeline, especially in the West, in a place like United States of America, you can be safe, you can have shelter, you can have subsidize this and whatnot, and still be an artist. You can just be that, it's my passion. I'm going to be an artist without having to go through what most people
Mm.
need to do to make a living. What most artists need to do, like they used to have that hunger to actually drive, and that's something that I can attest to. That
Yeah.
I haven't put in as much
So
effort to get my craft to the level I
here's a
know it can
question.
be at before.
Here's a question. So I'm at the income level in Seattle. And the medium income is something like $80,000 to $100,000. I'm
Mm.
below that because I'm working by myself for myself. I actually qualify for food stamps,
Yeah.
but I haven't done it. I haven't done it. So you start asking yourself the question, well, why don't I get that extra $350 a month for food?
Hmm.
But the thing is like, is that who I want to be?
Yeah. And
Is
that's
that who I
that's
want to be as a
let's say
person?
there's a welfare trap there. Like, there's a cliff where like they said like if you start earning a certain amount, yeah, just like you said, quitting the job, there's gonna be a risk between the amount of effort you're gonna get to get back to the amount of money you'll be getting at your corporate or you in your stable job as an independent might take 5 or 6 years of hard work. But once you get there, the sky's the limit. You can go far higher. But most people will be happy enough with just staying at that base level, that security that they come from that. and it won't develop. They won't be encouraged. They won't be driven that much in that kind of sense. They won't have that hunger. And that's something like a good friend of mine, Fritz, we talked to me about. Just like last week, he's been mentoring me on certain things, getting me better at just being more productive. And he just asked me, he was like, "Are you serious about what you're doing?" And I was like, "I've been doing more, thinking I was definitely doing a lot more than I was doing before, like 2 years before. But then I just thought, like, no, there's more I can do. Like, I need to kick this stuff up to like higher standard." And that's something you got to ask yourselves as a creative, as an artist. Are you really serious about your creativity, whatever it is that you're doing? How serious are you about what you're doing? And in many cases, you'll find you're not that serious enough. You're probably doing the things you're more serious about. Like you might be more serious at having comfort than actually getting your vision and your creativity out there. Like that's definitely something that I think is a key thing to kind of think of there. And yeah, okay. So with what you're doing now, you had you. All right, okay, how am I gonna frame this one? Okay, so anyway, are there courses, classes, or any other forms of learning that specifically helped you to do what you're doing? And are there things that you miss doing that you suggest someone should do? So this is like now towards your marketing stuff. I think you're a lot more of an autodidact than most people that I know, and I have a problem assuming other people are autodidacts. But then this also comes down to being how serious are you? Because if you truly are serious about what you're doing, AI, even before AI, there's so many things where you can learn how to do the things that you've been doing, right? Like, so what are some of the things like you taught yourself since you weren't working in a corporate and whatnot to learn and be better at what you're doing? Like, or what are your past experiences?
So what I taught myself and what I learned through experience,
Mhm.
it all blends into one. Like if you want to talk about like electronic music I would make. I stopped doing it, but I'd like to get back into it now because it just makes more sense for me to be more in the audio space than video right now.
Yeah.
That's all stuff that I learned on my own, and also working with other artists. And I didn't take any classes. I did take audio production class in college, but that was all about recording. That was all the technical side of it. Um, uh, Everything that I make money on now, I learned through watching hours and hours of tutorials online on YouTube, experimentation, um, fuck ups. Like there were a couple of projects I got hired on to do, and I got paid only part of what I was supposed to get paid because it took so long, or the end result was not great. So that was a learning experience for me. So everything comes through experience. Like you can take as many classes as you want
Mhm.
on how to be a graphic designer, but if you don't have those when I say top level client, I mean somebody who's not using AI. If you don't have a top level client who's holding you to certain design standards, you're just not going to learn as well. Like, and there's also it also comes down to how you don't have to be an extremely detailed designer to be good. That's another thing I learned in the process, and
Mhm.
I wish that I did take some design courses, and they didn't teach us how to be super detailed. They just taught us how to be precise. That's something that I think more artists need to learn is to be more precise than detailed, because the precision will create detail.
Okay.
In the a When you have like two words
Yeah,
stacked on top of each
expand on that.
other.
Expand on the difference between precision and detail.
So detail is like a shine on a letter. So say you have a text that says um, tequila bar, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll have like a tequila shine on the words to be more of a refraction on the letters.
Mhm.
There'll be some camera flare or lens flare that's happening, but that's all great for detail because it adds a little bit of extra. It adds that extra bit. But if those letters are misaligned or there's something out of alignment with how that tequila bar looks, the human mind's going to go, my eyes didn't see it, but my brain saw it, like they say on
Yeah.
Red Letter. You're going to know that it's a little off. So it's
Some
important
uncanny
to
valley sort of
have that
stuff,
eye
right?
for detail, and that's something I learned through clients over the years who had an eye. They didn't have an eye for detail, but they had an eye for the alignment, the proper alignment, and the proper geometry, and how it should look on a shirt or on a website or on a big sign outside of whatever establishment.
So precision
So
is
like,
more like the forest, detail is the trees, something like that.
or having a correct distribution of trees.
Yeah.
doesn't matter
Hmm.
how detailed the trees are, but if it's correctly distributed and there's like a haze line,
That's
there's a
enough for it to
gradient.
be a forest. Yeah.
Right. So you see like trees that are closer to you are darker, and trees that are further away, they're smaller and have less, and they're a little bit brighter, like the haze effect that you see when you go outside, because Earth has,
Hmm.
has an atmosphere, and so therefore objects will look brighter or less. They'll have less contrast the further away you move from them.
Yeah.
That makes yeah.
And I
So
think
it
that's definitely something I think I can relate to, where I get caught up with, yeah, minor details. I'm spending 5 hours doing this small part
I'm
of
the
the
same way.
animation because I'm
I'm
worrying
the
about
same
this
way.
detail, whereas the entire image has already been there. Like I need to first set down the image. If you're trying to communicate this scene, put the scene down first, and then if you have time, you can add details. But
Called blocking
focus
it out.
first on, yeah, focus
Blocking
first
it
on
out.
getting precisely to the
So
message you're trying to communicate. Yeah.
so like that's where I get tripped up in 3D design. Is I get so caught up in the detail, I forget that
Yeah.
I'm blocking. I'm just sitting there blocking things out. So if I have a scene where there's a window, and then there's windows, there's a room, there's a chair, maybe like there's walls and floor and a ceiling and everything and other details. All of a sudden, I get locked into creating the chair and how many legs it has and what its supports look like, what color is it. When I really don't need to be creating those details, I just need to put something in there that kind of looks like a chair
Yeah.
with the geometry of a chair that I can go in and upgrade later.
Yeah.
So really being the toughest thing for me, I think it's the toughest thing for a lot of people, is to be disciplined in the blockout process. So my friend Henry, the painter, watching him paint live, he uses circles a lot. So he
Hmm.
won't do much in the realm of detail until he has his basic blockout. So like when he's blocking out a canvas painting, say it's a canvas painting of one of his character, he does a lot of kind of cartoonish looking caricatures,
Yeah.
a bit like Picasso, a bit like uh, uh, um, Dolly has a bit of the influence with 1980s comic strip stuff. Um, he'll draw a lot of shapes, of circles, lines, connecting the circles, you know, horizon lines, maybe a square or like an obelisk somewhere, something to create basic blockouts of what the
Yeah.
character will be, and then he'll go creating in the stroke lines outside of the character to kind of outline it. And then when that's done, then he'll go in and start creating the details of the character. And it's very
When
disciplined what he does.
when he does these murals and stuff like that, does he record the process and whatnot? I mean, he's doing it out in the open so
I've
people can
I've
see that.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
worked with him on some recordings. I can send those to you.
cool. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely something that needs to be in there. And I think that's another thing that AI won't have. The process, it's behind the scenes. It just crunches the stuff up and puts it out there.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of creators right now. One thing you can put yourself aside, and there is AI that you can prompt the AI to do like a speed drawing and see the process. It's artificial, whatever. But that's something that unique humans can do. Let people into your process. Let people into your workshop. So this is part of why I'm doing this studio visit series. Like also let people into and see other creators. Go see other creators. And internship, that's something that's going to come. That experience is going to come. You can hire on interns like they do with like the mangakas in Japan. Like they have a system where it's like someone trains under somebody else, does backgrounds, certain characters. That's how they get them out every week. And then that person, the assistants get good enough, and then they go do their own stuff. They hire more assistants. We need to get back to that with the creative fields, getting more interns, getting more apprentices, so they're learning through your experience that way. And I think that's
So
something we're going to be seeing a lot more
going
of.
back to your question, one thing that I didn't do that I wish I'd done was an internship. I
Okay.
went straight into the market. I did some animation pieces in college that that an entrepreneur had seen because they had gone to the same college that I had gone to,
Okay.
and he immediately hired me on for a project that was too big for me.
One last break. We are on the home stretch of this one. Well, strong stretch. We've turned the last curve on the 400-meter dash here. We're on the home straight. Home straight, not stretch. Anyway, so most important question of the questionnaire coming up soon. But this questionnaire is available at iknowgreatpeople.carbon33.com. If you want to check that out, you can either do an audio version a video version and send those in. If you don't have a platform, I'll try to post those up eventually. There's a text version, there's a PDF there you can fill out and do it. I want more people to participate in this. And once you're part of this, you can also join us for other conversations, or you can have your own people on the I Know Great People. So if you want to be part of this, or if you know anyone else that you think would be cool to be on this, please suggest, or you actually do it yourself. This is a lived experience collection of library sort of storytelling thing. These are part of the stories that we live and we experience and we want to share with other people. Back into it.
Just like, I have really nice hair. Anyway.
Mark whiting it up. Yeah.
We both have nice hair. We both have nice hair.
I'm actually contemplating shaving it all though and just starting from fresh.
No. The dreads are good. The whole thing. It's a vibe.
Not quite sure. I might. We'll see.
Because I have the what's that guy? The Bogdanovich hair. Who's that? I have the kind of Trump Bogdanovich hair.
Right? Oh yeah, that guy, Dog Bun Bogdanovich or something. Yeah, I think I know that guy. Right, I know who you're talking about.
I got that.
It's a very 80s. It's a very 80s kind of do you got going.
I don't know, 80s are coming back in the worst way possible.
80s high school student.
Yeah, right.
So sure. That's the look you have. Okay, so now for this one, into the last three. Now that we're done with the first area there. Now, do you have any question for me, just from the stuff that we've talked about here? Just any questions that come to mind right now here? You don't have to have something. It's just going back. I'm switching sides now. Now you're the.
Well, yeah. I mean, how do you make your hair? Like, how does like, do you braid it? Like, what do you do?
Nah, this one was like I said, this was, you can see the earlier. It was just like, for some long time, I was just like, okay, I'm in hermit mode. I would just wake up in the morning and then I would wash my hair. I would just do that after, like just like that. And then I would comb my hair, brush my hair out once every like couple of weeks. I was doing that. And then I just decided to stop. And the hair just dreads up. I think if you even just stopped your hair would dread out. Yeah, it was just natural dreads itself. It just locked up natural locks.
Okay.
And then that was like, so it started locking up. I think 5 years ago or something, and then it just been growing.
Well, yeah.
And then just a few days ago, Anne, a friend of mine, she wanted to like twist it up, and I was already deciding like I might shave it anyway. So I was like, okay, I'll try that. So she kind of broke apart some of the locks, and now it's like a bit more. But you can see like the bottoms are kind of twisted. But most of it is still just natural. It just locked up naturally.
Dreads are a cool thing. Like I think us European descendants, when we do dreads, it just looks pretentious. It doesn't work because you really it's like I dated a girl with dreads out of college. Well, in college, and we back and forth, and she did the dread thing, and it was really annoying. And she would do the dyed dread things, or want to be purple and want to be red and everything. Mm-hmm. And it was just like she spent so much time on it, and it just didn't feel natural. Exactly. She's Italian, she's got thicker hair and everything, but like somebody who's African, or like Jamaican, or from that gene pool,
Negro,
the wonderful gene
genes,
pool,
yeah.
The Negro genes, yeah, it really works well. It looks good. I mean, it is something that I think a lot of people in the world wish they had the ability to do, but they can't because their hair just doesn't have that natural ability to do it.
This goes back to what we were talking about at the start, which I think I'm going to leave it. Just talking about like looking at things that are not. There's certain aesthetical things that kind of are pleasing. Right now, there's a big hoorah about something like the Odyssey or like certain casting, and I'm like, that doesn't matter to me so much. Like, how good is the casting? Does it fit? If you have something that fits more, that looks like it's supposed to be in that place, your suspension of disbelief is lower level where you can buy into it more. But if it's all pure Greek actors, but they're crap actors and they're speaking in Greek, it's shot in Greek, like, but it's crap acting, crap lighting, crap scenes, crap like storytelling, it wouldn't be as engaging to even tell the Odyssey story as whatever Nolan has put out.
There were African actors, there were Asian actors, there were obviously Latino actors, and the guy from India and everything.
Yeah.
They fit. It worked. It fit in the world because and Nolan was right about this. You really do need to start making, not you, but Hollywood shouldn't be afraid to make movies that look a little bit more like the world that we live in. And in America, in general, in the West, you're going to be dealing a lot with people from different backgrounds. It's okay.
The way it's being done is different. Like, there's a story still key. Does it still fit in? Because before it was just done in the DEI, where it's just shoehorning people in for more representation versus the story. Again, this is precise versus the details. they were too focused on the details of these races have to be there versus like, is this able to tell the precise story? What are you precisely trying to communicate with this project? Does race mean anything with this project? Now, if your messaging is a race versus trying to tell a story that just happens to have different actors, that's a different thing. But coming back to what we'll come back with that one because I'm going to watch the Odyssey soon, and then we'll come back. Derek will be back
Yeah.
on for a conversation about that. But with the hair stuff, so it fits in a certain way. Just how like certain people of certain demographics wear a lot of hair hats of hair that is not necessarily in their genes,
Well,
in
you're
their
telling me
colors
the
and
hair
stuff
hat
like
thing.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
And that stuff, with some people, some faces, some features, it fits. But
And now they're
sometimes it
wearing.
becomes
Did
too
you
much.
see?
Like
They're wearing like the shower cap thing, like the Swedish Chef. They got that thing going on. You see that?
I mean, there's things you can do. Like, just imagine, like, instead of my dreads, I had like, I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, what, like a Jonathan Taylor Thomas, like from the '90s. You know, he's that bowl cut type of thing that was really hot back. Like, that would not look right on me. But then, like, mostly the females of different races and stuff like that, different demographics, they wear hairstyles from females from other races and demographics. But the men don't really do that often. Like, just imagine like Tom Brady with like a hair hat of like full on dreads. How would that look? Imagine like like
It wouldn't look great at all.
Idris Elba coming out with like Erling Haaland's hair.
It
It would
wouldn't
look
look.
kind of
Idris
off.
Elba with Yeah, Idris Elba with like my hair would look ridiculous.
It would look off. But then we have the women's the fair folk of the human like doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, so for me, the part of this was just the low maintenance ability of it. Even what Anne was trying to do, and I think I'm glad she tried it out. She was doing the twisting, and she's like, "Okay, you got to keep locking it up over and over again. You got to do this." I
Yeah,
looked
keep
online,
doing
and there's people who do the locks and the things. For me, no, like this was because it's low maintenance. Because it was just like, even though combing once in a while, I even stopped the combing and just wash
Do
it,
you
and then that's
remember?
it.
Do you remember the show Red Dwarf?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't
You
watch
grew
much
up
of
on
it, but
that,
yeah.
right?
No, I
You
didn't
don't.
watch it at all.
Oh, okay, okay.
I
That's a,
found out
that's a
about
show.
it later. Yeah.
Yeah, but Craig Charles, who plays Lister in that show, he would talk a lot about his dreads, but he's
Hmm.
he's half Jamaican and half English. And that was a big thing in the show is that he was very proud of his dreads.
Yeah.
And so it's always been something that's in the back of my mind. It's like, so black people can do it and white people don't. Not that white people can't,
Technically,
but
you
it
could just let your hair lock up. It just wouldn't
but
look this.
it
It wouldn't
just
look. Yeah,
just
it looks different. Yeah.
culturally, like the way the world is going, it just doesn't work. But
What
that's all
are,
I'm gonna say.
instead of besmirching the natives, what are like native hairstyles and stuff like that? What goes back in like something?
But native hairstyle, I don't know, covered
Yeah.
in puke. I have no idea.
I just should have brought that back up. Okay. Now the next question of the last three. So, do you have any questions for anyone else that might answer this questionnaire, or maybe listening to your answers? Just yeah.
Okay. Do I have anybody that what?
Any questions for anybody else that might be listening to but may be taking this questionnaire? So this could be like a request to if there's a certain job or certain person, certain location that you want. So if I bring somebody who's in that job or in that who fits, I can be like, oh, here's a question that Derek had back then, or just the people who are listening and reading, listening to our conversation, like any questions that they may have. You don't have to give them to me right
Do you
now.
have
If they come
yeah?
up later, you can bring them up later on.
Do you have a plan for the later stage of your life?
Okay.
Monetary plan. That's a good
Okay.
question to ask a lot of artists because people just kind of live day to day. I
Yeah.
have the luxury, the privilege of the military, and having members of my family die and leave me money, where I have it's a good retirement. It's better than most people my age have, but it's not.
Mhm.
It's not going to put me in a mansion, that's for sure. But artists really need to think about what the later stages of their life are going to be like because in the next 10, 15 years we're going to be swinging into that too. Next 20 years we'll be swinging
Yeah.
into later stages of our life. So
Yeah.
people need to start thinking about that. So what are you doing? How are you preparing for the end of your career? I think is the best. And what impact will you make for others in the future?
And that's another thing, especially with creatives. I think that's something to keep in mind. I have certain projects that I know I'm going to be working on forever. Now, that planning for that is different than the stuff that I'm doing now, right now, Derek, where it's like, okay, we need income generating stuff that's market facing, and that's going to free us to have the time to do our personal projects that don't have to be so focused on, I need to pay my electric bill. I need to make sure my grandkids are okay or my nephews are. So that's the kind of stuff. Like I need health insurance based off of this. I can find things with my creativity and ability to focus on that, be very business and focused and structured on it, where the money, the earning potential is higher than the vision. And that frees me up to do the vision type of stuff. Like just like we're talking about Christopher Nolan, he's had the ability to make these big blockbusters, bring in money. You make a few of those, and you have a passion project that doesn't need to earn money because you're able to still do the blockbusters. That kind of
Mhm.
mentality. Yeah. Okay. So now the last one is
Oh, and
when.
one
Yeah.
question for you. One thing. Think about Kenyan Dracula.
We'll think
I'm
about that.
serious. Like, think about that. How could we make Kenyan Dracula, but like keeping the structure of the original book?
I'll send you something because like one thing that's happened, like we're talking about different places doing the different things. Seven Samurai is a story that's kind of sort of like a mini Odyssey. It's a more like it's a more focused place. You know the Seven Samurai story, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or it's yeah. So that one is that one's been done in different ways, like the Magnificent Seven and things like that, which has been done in like the Western type of times. There was a newer anime that was done based on Seven Samurai. So it's more like a cyberpunky futurist type of environment with it, but it comes from Akira Kurosawa, that old one. So when I was doing the marketing for the 1 Million Thriving Artists Creative Collaborative convention we had last year, on one of the days, I kind of just thought of like small, like a short, not even a treatment. It was like a one-page sort of idea of the seven Samburu, the Samburu are the Masais. If you all are familiar with those people, the tall,
That's
skinny
cool.
dudes, like the jump dudes. So it was like a story
The
of
jump
tied
dudes.
seven Sam, yeah,
They're
seven
in Kenya,
samurai.
right?
Yeah, yeah, the Masais, yeah.
Yeah, I see them
But they,
around. Like,
yeah, it's a Samburu tribe is in that area also. So instead of seven samurai, I thought of this story idea of the seven Samburu, where it's now tied into that, but taking that and that's what we want to do with this storytelling platform is create certain stories, get certain ideas where we can find the same things that are going through in different places and also encourage people to adopt this. And it's not going to be like the audience, oh, it has to be told as Greek man walking in this way. It's like, no, this is the general structure of the story. Change it, work it around your place. Just like we're trying to think, how would you do a Kenyan Dracula and still keep the main idea of Dracula, but tweak it around to different kind of places. And that's
yeah.
something that I've
Is Van Helsing is Van Helsing African, or is he the same Van Helsing from the
yeah,
Netherlands?
yeah.
You know?
There's ways we can do this. There's going to be exciting things that we can do with these.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, so this last one is the random question or question. So now let's say somebody had previously come on. When you come back on for something else, somebody may have said, oh, I really like what Derrick was saying. I have a question for him the next time he's on. You'd be able to take one of the questions there. Or if we're talking about a particular topic that there's a random question, and then so once we start building this up, as you invite more people on this, as we do these more, there'll be more random questions and requested questions being built up that we'll have a database to pull from. But for now, since we don't have that, are you willing to take one of these hypotheticals? I can just shuffle
Yeah.
through and we pick one and then we
Let's
give the
do it.
answers and see. Okay. So
Yes, and I'm gonna do
let's
something too with you. Hold on a second.
let me shuffle through these. I forgot which ones are on. I need to figure out a system where like there's like 50 of them. So I've done these eight
We'll do
times or
that, and I'll
nine
do
times
something
so
with you.
far.
We'll do that, and I'll
Okay.
do something with you real quick too. Go ahead.
Then I've done a few already with people. So I don't know if I want to like repeat. If I find something that I remember that I've done already, I get it up and it will build up random questions. So even now, these are questions out there to y'all out there who are listening. If you think they're cool random questions that you think are good for conversation starters that you thought of yourself or have suggestions, please let us know and we can include this because this whole thing is a collaborative thing. This is like an open source thing we want other people to be with. Okay, this one is easy. Okay, lost virginity redux. That's what we're doing. Okay. Imagine you could go back to the age of 5 and relive the rest of your life knowing everything that you know now. You will re-experience your entire adolescence with both the cognitive ability of an adult and the memories of everything you've learned from having lived your life previously. Would you lose your virginity earlier or later than you did the first time around, and by how many years?
Ooh, I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, from what your experiences?
My because yeah, I don't think it matters. Like because it's one of those things you don't. A lot of that's wrapped up into it. First time having sex, it's very mechanical. You're just going through the motions. There really is no love there. You're just kind of doing it to get it done with.
That's how your first time was horrible. That sucks, then.
Well, that's just how, but that's kind of how it is. Like, we're just going to do this, right? Okay, we're
No,
going to
I
do
mean
this.
but that's the point of this question. Like, if you could, would you wait until that first time was more than that? That's part of the question. Like,
Um,
what you know now, because
uh,
back then you didn't know that, but now you know
no,
that
no, I,
back
I
then it
would have
was
done the
that.
whole just so I know what happens.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
it,
trying to think
it's
what
it, it's fine how it is.
for me, I don't regret how the first time happened, but I regret the mentality I had around it. It was like more of like, and this is just part of the reasons of not having the right kind of conversations with adults and parents and the situations, the pressures that you have from culture. Like, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, or like, oh, you can't talk about this with this kind of person. So I don't regret like the way it happened, but I regret the mentality I had around it. Now, if I went back there with the mentality that I have now, and I don't know, with this question, it's like, okay, imagine you could go back, you will re-experience your entire adolescence or adult lifehood, and
5 years
the
old, telling my
memories.
5-year-old self to
Yeah,
like
because
don't trust.
you will have the cognitive ability of an adult and the memories of everything you've learned from having lived your
Oh,
life.
but at 5 years old.
Yeah, you'd start at five again and relive your life, but you'd have somehow. I think it would be more like in this one. I think now we're storytellers. We're thinking
Yeah,
about
I
the
know
plot holes
exactly
of
what
how
I
you'd
would
have
do.
to write a script like this. Like, if you have your cognitive ability, are you seriously just like a machine going along and watching, or are you making changes? Because there's so many other things I would have changed earlier that would have not led me to the situation that I lost my virginity in to begin with. But let's say it starts at that virginity level. You've been following your life, and then in this estimation, for it to make sense, you weren't able to change anything, but that the first time you're able to change something is the circumstances that led you to lose your virginity. Would you change those situations, or would you maintain it?
Maintain it. I learned a lot in that
Okay.
experience.
I think I would also maintain it, but I would do different about. I don't like what everything happens for a reason. I don't believe that, but I think there's reasons everything happens, and then your reaction to what happens after it defines that importance.
I mean,
So I
there,
think
there,
after it happened, I would treat it differently. After it happened, I would be more
yeah,
open about what
there.
happened. I would be more conversant with the person and society. I wouldn't feel the mixed feelings that I had about it at that point. I think, yeah, I think I would still
I,
keep
I,
it as
I
is.
would have, I would have. Well, yeah, I would have told myself. I mean, first of all, like, don't think that porn is real life. Don't do things you see in porn in real life. I mean, not that I did, but that would be something I tell myself, is to kind of get rid of that mentality that like porn is sex in any way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would change things differently after. My reaction to what happened, my treatment of what happened would be different. But I think the
Okay.
happening of the actual thing would be the same. But yeah,
Okay.
so
So
that's it.
so so now my turn.
Okay,
So
yeah, go ahead.
these are Henry's Radical Abundance cards. See,
Hmm.
it's going to blur out, isn't it?
Radical abundance sounds like some
Some hoity-toity fucking bullshit.
evangelical sort of stuff, or yes, or some left
Yeah.
wing. Like, it's both, but the same difference, right?
I
Evangelicals are
hate,
just
I
like
hate how Zoom
right
does this
wing,
shit and
left
blurs it
wings.
out.
I
But there
see,
you
I can
go.
see it. It's clear, yeah.
Yeah. So it's. I'll read you the deck. We used to sell these online. They're not. We're not selling them online anymore. They're only sold at the Waterfront Marketplace at
Mm.
the Pier 54 in Seattle. But it is 52 cards to help manifest your destiny. And the idea is that you draw one every day.
Manifest
And
destiny.
every
Does
so
he
I'll just,
know
I'll just
what connotations that has? Taking me
so
back
so
to the
so
times of
every
the.
every card. Um, so here it is. How to use it. One, I am. Draw one card. Feel yourself having this in abundance throughout your day. Two, give and receive. Draw two cards. Focus on putting out the energy from the first card and accepting energy from the second. Three, triangulate. Draw three cards. Imagine the energy of the three words coming together in your heart. So it's a lot of, hoity-toity fucking bullshit. But um, what we used to do when we would do conventions is I would stand at the convention floor and I'd hand out cards to people. Like,
Mhm.
would you like to draw a card? And they would draw a card. And here's, for instance, they would draw this card. What's this card? Oh, shit. This card is
Stability.
stability, right? And it's one of Henry's paintings. I love this one. It's like one of those camper vans, like one of those little
Yeah.
campers. You hitch this back of your truck, your car, and it's in the what looks like a desert landscape. Stability. So on the convention floor, someone would draw stability, for instance, and they would go, now you have to manifest that throughout your day.
Okay.
stability. How are you going to manifest that and take this card with you? And so people that would pass by the bathroom, because we were situated by the bathroom, everyone would get a card, it seems. So let's just pick a card right now. I'm going to give you three cards, and I'm not going to tell you what they are. Just make it easy. Pick three. Okay. You have to pick one, two, or three.
Three.
Okay. Three is going. Okay, hold on. I got to decide what's one, two, and three. Okay, hold on. Okay. This is one. This is two. This is three. Okay. Pick again. Three.
Three, yeah.
Okay. Here you go. Your card. Oh, your card
Okay.
is.
Friendship, yeah. Well, friendship, yeah. Manifested have started the day off well with friendship. One of
There you
my
go. Yeah.
really best friends here, Derrick, that's one of the good things. Yeah. So we started the day. So I'm supposed to manifest that for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Or
Okay.
you can draw two cards. You can manifest joy and friendship.
Okay.
And this is one of Henry's original paintings that we put on these cards.
Yeah.
Actually, he did these before I started working with him. So it's this is a really cool thing. I can probably get one of these card decks to you at some point too, or you can make
There's
your
probably
own.
you can do like a small app that does this. You can digitize
People
this
don't
and do
like
like an
apps.
app.
That's the thing. It's the same thing as AI.
It's
Like,
something. It's
what's more
something.
important? What's
You'll
more
be
important? But like,
surprised.
to have
You'll
an
be
app to
surprised.
draw
Some
you
people
a
might be
card.
in on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's better just to kind of eschew that and just go like something physical you can hold in your hand.
Yeah, I mean, you do have a case. Like, yeah, some of the physical stuff does. It still has. Yeah. Okay. So why did you stop selling them? It seems like something that would be.
We stopped selling them online because the company that was selling them online needed to concentrate on prints,
Okay.
on prints of the actual art, like doing framed prints, non-framed, canvas prints, poster prints, magnetic prints, that kind of stuff, and stopped selling things like T-shirts and like onesies and cards and
You
books and
see,
stuff.
I think this is another thing that's happening that's going to increase more is like there's going to be more as AI and certain things higher level make creates a certain sameness. There's going to be a request for more unique type of things, personalized things, where people who value that will be able to pay more for it. And it's also cheaper now to make some of these things in that case. Like what we were talking about this earlier. No, okay, but like for me personally, I had a Redbubble store. It has like multiple designs. Derek was one of
Yeah,
the first people to buy a design off the one up. It was like
yeah, the Nine
the
Lives
Mario thing.
Matter. I
Yeah,
still
the
have
Nine
that
Lives
one. I
Matter.
don't wear it around. Wear it. Don't wear it.
Okay, so this that one. But so you, you have that, and then it was on Redbubble, and then the other day I'm doing better with my blogs right now. I think I'm up to today would be it's probably posting. Yeah, I have these set ahead of time, so it's going to post in 14 minutes from when we're recording this, and that will be 2,102 posts in a row. Every day I've been posting on this blog. But I go through the blogs and it's 000 because I don't share it anyway. I don't tell people about anything. But now, starting August, I'm going to start launching these things, doing more publicizing, doing more, tying all the different things I'm doing together and doing more with it. Derek's going to be helping me more, getting more marketing focus, getting this stuff out there. We're going to be doing things together. But anyway, so what I'm trying to do now is like when I'm doing the blog post, if I'm tying it in with what the story that I'm writing to some merchandise that I already have some design, I now take a photo of the design, put it in there, put a link to it, buy my merch. So I was doing something with Thomas Sowell. And one of my best-selling things was a Thomas Sowell 3 questions, which I used to ask at the end of most of my things. It's like, at what cost, what solid proof do you have, and what and compare it to what? So that's for economics to the people on the political left, but I use them for many other things. Anyway, I had that simple shirt. I had the Anyone But Che design, Anyone But Che design off of Sowell. I was looking for the link to it so I could put it on my blog posts. And then I go in there, someone used some AI or some crap to just scrape my entire designs, the description and the name, the small little C33 logo I had, and was selling them on Redbubble. So I sent like a cease and desist. So I'll see if Redbubble changes that. But by me being like not putting the effort to do a personalized thing back 15 years ago or something ago, I thought like I need to do like a t-shirt thing where it's like instead of just selling millions and millions, they're trying to aim for that. Let me sell a limited run of all designs. Since I have so many different designs, let me do like 25 or 100 in limited designs where it's like these are the only ones. But I wanted to do a situation where I find actual people who are printing themselves, doing it themselves, instead of relying on this massive company that ships them everywhere. So that kind of way that you're talking about, where you have like people who are like, this is an individual creative. I'm doing this. Henry's doing these things where it's like more somebody will be able to pay more because they'll value it more. and you won't have to sell as many, but you have more control. Like you're talking to somebody who's printing it from their store. You need to come to this physical location, or you can be shipped to this limited places. And I think we need to move more towards that sort of relationship where you're not relying on somebody who's going to shut down or this on a big sort of type of thing. So how do you think stuff like that could increase where Henry has like bespoke things where people understand what Henry does, people are willing to pay more because it's Henry versus some random design I'll get from Target or Kmart or something like that. Like he never has to aim to get his stuff to that level as long as he builds up
Yeah.
enough of a community or of a demographic of people. Like the No Agenda show
Yes.
that we listen to, like
Yeah. So there's just one thing before we end on that note. Understand that your market's going to start aging out at some point, and
yeah.
that's one of the things that like these artists in Seattle are realizing. Across the street from Henry's gallery is Burgundy Burgundy Viscosi, and she does kind of the Alex Grace
Okay.
kind of art, and she's got her own really nice store on the pier, but her demographic is aging out. In other words, the people who really liked that LSD inspired Alex Gray type of psychedelic art, they're just
Yeah.
not buying it like they used to because those people just don't exist anymore. They're not doing drugs and going to those kind of parties like our generation did or her generation did. And same thing with Henry is he's trying to figure out how to capture the younger market doing things like fingerboards, like those little skateboards,
Yeah.
and then bobbleheads and stuff like that. Just stuff that can be purchased pretty cheaply, that's fun and that still expresses the art that's on it or
And
shows
that's
the art.
yeah, and that's why the importance of having someone like what you're
Like look
doing
at how
to try to
Disney
maximize how much you could get while you're
how
there,
how is
while
how
you're
has
alive. Yeah.
Disney remained relevant? Like once the like didn't the Simpsons stopped producing episodes, right?
I think it's still going on, no?
I don't know. I know this the South Park is. Um and the thing is if once the Simpsons and South Park stop putting out episodes, their brand is just going to become archived
Yeah.
because it's so topical. Um, and
Yes, The
eventually,
Simpsons is still producing shows renewed through the 40th season, which will conclude in 2029.
the longest running American TV show.
I think they might be one that's longer.
No, as far as like fictional,
Okay.
maybe Days of Our Lives, but that was radio back in the day. Or all my children, all those soap operas and stuff like that.
NFL and NBC, that doesn't count.
Doesn't count. Not a TV show.
Yeah.
Event. It's an event. Okay, so yeah, that's just my 2 or 3 cents. But with
Yeah.
it's like a penny.
Sesame Street, General Hospital, Law and Order SVU has been for 500 episodes. So that's number of
Sesame Street
episodes.
is
The Simpsons,
Sesame
yeah,
Street is
is
iconic.
third longest
Because
running series.
Sesame Street is probably the most successful because it's in so many different languages, and I know that like you have the interstitials, like the little things that happen between, like the little. This is the letter A. What does A stand for?
Yeah.
They'll have different countries come in and do their own interstitials with. I think that's the wrong way of saying it, but they'll have their own little segments that they'll do
Yeah.
with like their own letters. I
They're
don't.
using the branding pretty much. Yeah, it's like they're using the platform, but it's not like
But it
the
works.
same
It
kind of
works,
ongoing
and
thing.
it keeps Jim Henson Studios alive.
Yeah.
Jim Henson Studios, they just did a huge clearance sale. They did a huge auction because they closed down their studios on La Brea in LA, which I've been to a couple. I haven't been inside, but I've been to it. And there's
Yeah.
people pissing outside. There's dudes taking shit on the street and checking stuff. They really needed to get out of that place. It was Charlie Chaplin's old building, his old studio, and they did a huge sale. And somebody remember the throne in the Dark Crystal?
Yeah.
Somebody bought that. Somebody bought the Skeksis throne in the Dark Crystal, and I was just thinking, God, how much they buy it for? I could sell part of my retirement and get that. I could have bought that.
And that's always part of the value of some of the physical stuff that's going to be there. Like some of these things is physical media reminding for it. But if you do something that's just like even digital money, you do sketches, you're doing process, the cells. I remember randomly getting to know Al Gore Jr. for somehow I don't remember name dropping. Anyway, one of the vice presidents of the United States of America, his parent was vice president at the time. And somehow I found out and I got to see, actually, yeah, I got to go to its location and see like Matt Groening had just been there the day, like a few days before, and I saw one of like the cells from like a really early. He had gifted them like a cell from like the Simpsons. So even though like the shows were digitized, now there was still that aspect. But then if you have something like with AI, there's ones and zeros. So even like all like the process part that is part of art that is still valuable to people who really value that piece of art is not there when you have AI. There's no process, there's no humanity that goes into like this artifact, this piece of art is a result of all these human actions that are held by the props that are made, by the scripts that are written, that by the discussions that happen, the human experiences that went into it are not there when you have AI prompted and it just craps something out. That process isn't there. There's nothing to become a fan of. There's no fandom that can be built up to have these artifacts of this, my desire, my participation with this.
That's a really good point. So like in maybe the reality of AI art, but let's just call it art because that's kind of what it is. I'll give the robot that grace.
Artifacts. I think I'll call it artifacts.
Artifacts.
I'm not quite sure.
AI artifacts. It's not AI art. It's artifacts. I'm okay with it being as prevalent as it is, and even more prevalent. But I also understand that it has no value other than the electricity it used to make it. The value, and I always say this, that the value when you buy a painting or a drawing, or you buy a sculpture, or you buy a cell from an animation cell, not only are you buying a physical piece from somebody who worked on it with their hands, but you're also paying for the years and years of trouble and toil that they went through.
Blood, sweat, and tears. Blood, sweat, and tears. There's an aspect there,
yeah. When you're buying AI art, you're paying for nothing but just electricity. But I mean, and like here in Washington, there's a lot of arts and crafts fairs, and there's very explicit no AI art inside the arts and crafts fairs because people will go to GPT-4 or whatever, and they'll get some art, they'll put on a T-shirt, and they'll sell it. Like Jimothy we were talking about at the beginning. I can't tell you how many AI Jimothy art shirts people are selling for $30.
Yeah.
Online. Like it's if we see it as being an artifact, as having value to the people who made it, and for what it's used for, but having no outside value, then all of a sudden AI art makes more sense.
Yeah.
That's my last thought on it.
Yeah, to close off, I think that's what we need to do as we're starting something new right now with our studio that we're going to work on. We need to look at the past, to the art like we talked about with apprenticeship and things like that, and people aging out. That could be one way you keep fresh. If you're bringing in younger apprentices who are learning the ropes from you, they're also teaching you other aspects of this is what the market likes, this is what the youth like, this is what the younger people like, and they can bridge your creativity to the next people. So participate in things in that kind of way. If you're hiring people to run your marketing and things, younger people coming out, they're also tying you in. So there's ways to do these things better that we're keeping in mind. And so just for all y'all out there, thanks again for participating. Thanks, Derrick, for getting on this and sticking with me through all these times. But so anything else you want to say to the people before we sign off?
69.
Not 6'7". That's the youth. You're already aging out. You're sure you've aged out. You've aged out to 69. We're doing 6'7" now. Even 6'7" has aged out already. You're still at 69. We're like, we need to go to like.
It's been a while. We need to get on that. Anyways, we need
to bring 66 back. We need to bring 666 back. Let's bring that back.
Or how about bag?
In the morning to you. So
in the morning to you.
Guys, gals, and everybody else in between. Goodbye.
See ya.